What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Realms of Metal. Eddie here, back with you from my happy place, my metal room here in the woods in PA. It's Tuesday morning, man. I'm chilling. I'm on vacation for the rest of the week. And I want to talk about God Dethroned today. This is a video I've been wanting to do for a while. If you're not aware, I do these videos. I put them on this Legend series that I have where I talk about bands that I'm a big fan of, bands that maybe don't get enough credit. And it's just bands I'd like to talk about and bring into the open and shed some light. And, hopefully I can maybe turn you on to, some of their stuff. So, uh, God Dethroned. Let's go into a brief history of God Dethroned. They were formed in Bijlen, which is a town in the Dutch province of Drenthe in 1990 by vocalist guitarist Henry Sadler, guitarist Hans Leegstra, and drummer R. De Weird. Henry and Hans were in a thrash band called Dysentery, who only released one demo in 1990 prior to God Dethroned. So they recorded their first demo, which was called the Christ Hunt demo. That lineup was Henry Sadler on guitar and vocals, R. De Weird on drums, and Remco Holst on bass. Han Leegstra was out. They have 11 full lengths, and their musical style is described as blackened death metal. So that's a brief history on God Dethroned. That's pretty much all you need. Before we get into the records, I just want to talk about Henry Sadler for a second. Brilliant songwriter, musician. He's been the constant with God Dethroned throughout the whole legacy of the band thus far. And I put him in the category. He's one of my death metal heroes, Henry Sadler is. And I put him in the category of, the musicians that also play an instrument and write the music for the band, so like a Peter Tagrin, Glenn Benton, Vincent Crowley, Chuck Schuldiner, Ola Lindgren from Grave, John McEntee from Incantation, Patrick Mameli, Peter from Vader, like in that vein. He's that amazing of a songwriter that, this guy is so underrated and deserves to be talked about more. Brilliant musician, songwriter. So I know that God Dethroned is probably much bigger in Europe than they are here in the States. I mean, every band is probably bigger in Europe than they are here in the States. So in the States, they definitely do not get the credit they deserve. So hopefully they do in Europe. But I don't know. I've never been there. So I tried to find as much on Henry as I could. I read all the articles that I could on him, interviews that he's done. I YouTube interviews that he did on YouTube. And the one thing I found fascinating about Henry is a lot of the times he comes up with the concept before the songwriting process. And I don't know how many musicians do that. A lot of times they write the riffs and then they put the lyrics and the song titles to the riffs. But he has an idea in his head of what he wants to talk about. And then he caters the music to that idea, which I think is so fucking cool. I don't know many musicians who do that, who have like a concept in their head and then write the music around the concept, unless it's a guy like King Diamond who's doing a concept record. So I just find that, amazing and fascinating, to be honest with you. I've only seen God Dethroned one time, and it was way back in like 2010, I want to say. It was in New York City at the Nokia Theater. They opened up for Overkill. I think it was Overkill's like 25th anniversary or something like that. So it was like Overkill, Vader was on it, God Dethroned, and Warbringer and Evil were on it. So it was a while ago now, 13 years ago. Only time I've ever seen them, so hopefully they come around again, when they're touring for a new record. But that said, let's get into the tracks, the records and the tracks. We'll go through the lineup changes, and let's have some fun. Let's talk about God Dethroned. Their first record came out in 1992 on Shark Records, The Christ Hunt. I don't know why I want to say that with a Scottish accent, but it just sounds fun. The Christ Hunt. So this was, like I said, Shark Records, December 1992, first full length. You got Henry Sadler on guitar and vocals, Oscar Carr on guitar, Marco Arenz on bass, and R. De Weird on drums. This was produced, engineered, and mixed by Berthus Westerhuis, who's done stuff for like Severe Torture, The Wounded, Altar. He's also got an active band called Jurassic Park, which is pretty unique. I'm going to actually check out that band and see if I can find anything about Jurassic Park. So the art, this was the original artwork for this record. And then they got into this whole thing with the guy from Shark Records. He didn't want to use it. And there's a whole layout, and Henry describes it, why they didn't want to use it in the record, if you look in the insert. So it's pretty neat. Henry took the picture of this rat, and he took like a ton of pictures of it, and they said the guy was like horrified by it, and they didn't want to use the artwork, so they went with this black and white kind of abstract bullshit. You know, you can look that up for the cover that they used for Shark Records, but this was supposed to be the original cover for that. They did a video on this for the track called Necromagnon, and the intro to the track, The Christ Hunt, were from the movie Warlock. There's like an intro, you know, remember the movie Warlock from 1989? That was this. So this is a great record, and it's their most primitive sounding record when it comes to production, and probably their most death metal record, you know. So really great solid slab of fucking death metal, you know. Like, my favorite tracks on here are Hordes of Lucifer, Christ Carnage, Necromagnon, and God Dethroned. I love it when bands fucking do a song with their name. I just think it's the coolest thing ever, you know. So the Christ Hunt, or the Christ Hunt, you know, God Dethroned. Now, that record came out in 1992. They actually split up in 1993. So they split up in 93. They reformed in 96, and with a new lineup, with Henry leading the charge and a new lineup, you know, in 1997, we got the Grand Grimoire. This came out in January 1997. It was their second full length. It was on Metal Blade. So you got Henry Sadler on guitar and vocals, Jens Vandervalk on guitar, who was with a band called Cantera. They were like a death thrash band, and I think he's actually still a member of those guys. You got Bert Hoving on bass from a band called Overlord, and you got Roll Sanders on drums from Asphyx and Malignant. So produced, engineered, and mixed again by Berthus Westerhuis. You know, cover art by Rene Bosma. So the Grand Grimoire. This is one of my favorite God Dethroned records by far. I love this one. This one and Bloody Blasphemy, I would say, are probably my two favorites. But again, not a bad record in this band's discography. It's solid as fuck. Like, I think every record is good to great. Like, there's no duds in this discography at all. So my favorites on this one are The Art of Immolation, The Grand Grimoire, The Shamaness of Winter, and Into a Dark Millennium. So really great record, man. The Grand Grimoire. Let's go to 1999 and their third full length, Bloody Blasphemy. This was released April in 1999, again on Metal Blade. Same lineup as the Grand Grimoire. You got Henry Sadler, guitar and vocals, Jens Vandervalk on guitar, Bert Hoving on bass, Roll Sanders on drums. Produced, engineered, and mixed again by Berthus Westerhuis. Cover art by Jeannie Potter. Video for Under the Golden Wings of Death. And the intro to The Serpent King, which was the first track on here, was taken from Death Wish 2, where he goes, "Do you believe in Jesus? Well, you're going to need him." You know, great intro to that track. This is another record I love. Between this one and the Grand Grimoire, I probably like this one a little bit better. And probably the reason being is the track called Soul Capture 1562. So if you're not familiar with God Dethroned, and you're asking me to check out a track, check out Soul Capture 1562. It's like an 8-minute long track. It's so good. You got like these haunting female vocals in the background, like just adds like this haunting, eerie, scary feeling to the track, almost like epic sounding. So it's a brilliant track. I think it's one of the best tracks they ever wrote. Soul Capture 1562. But again, not a bad song on this record. In fact, every song is good on this record. So, but Soul Capture really sticks out to me. So check out Bloody Blasphemy you're not familiar, like I said, YouTube that track, Soul Capture 1562. You're going to be blown away, I'm telling you. So, brilliant record, man. Bloody Blasphemy. Let's go to 2001 in their fourth full length on Metal Blade. It came out April 2001, and that's Ravenous. You've got a lineup change on here. Ard the Weird was out on drums. So you got Henry Sadler, guitars and vocals, Jens Vandervalk on guitar, Bert Hoving on bass, and on drums, he was listed as a guest, which is Tony Laureano, who played for Acheron, Those Who Have Risen. He was with Angel Corpse, The Inexorable. He was with Nile. He did In Their Darkened Shrines. So this guy's been around, really good drummer. Engineered and mixed by Berthas Westerhuis again, co-engineered by Peter DeCoster, who's done stuff for like Alter and Centurion. Mixed by Henry Sadler and Jens Vandervalk of the band. Cover art again by Jeannie Potter. They did a video for this for Villa Vampiria. So Villa Vampiria, I'm sorry. Another good record, solid as fuck. In the notes, it's dedicated to Aleister Crowley. Everybody knows who Aleister Crowley is, right? So Ravenous. Really good record. Fourth full length. Let's go to the fifth full length, 2003 on Metal Blade. Into the Lungs of Hell. This is another one that I really like a lot. Came out in March of 2003. You've got Henry Sadler on guitars and vocals, Jens Vandervalk again on guitar, Bert Hoving on bass, and Arjen van Weezenbeek on drums, who was with Pandemonium for a little bit. Currently, he's in a band called Epica, which is like symphonic metal, and another band called Mayan, which is like symphonic death metal. Produced, engineered, and mixed by Henrik Larsson, who's done stuff for Vomitory, The Haunted, Impiety, The Mighty Impiety. Amon Amarth. Cover art by Joachim Lutke, who's done cover art for Belphegor, Creator, Pain, Destruction, Annihilator. Some versions of this have a bonus track, Satan's Curse, which was a Possessed cover from Seven Churches. The original title of this record was supposed to be Gods of Terror, but was changed to Into the Lungs of Hell for unknown reasons. And this record saw a shift for God Dethroned, slightly more melodic than what they were doing, you know, and they would probably continue that moving forward. So great record. Into the Lungs of Hell, man. So really good. Not a bad track on this record. Into the Lungs of Hell. Check it out. Let's go to 2004 in their sixth full length on Metal Blade, The Ler the White Worm. Came out in November 2004. We got a new lineup on this one. You got Henry Sadler, you know, the mainstay, guitar and vocals. Arjen van Weezenbeek on drums. And then you've got Isaac Delahaye on guitar, who was with a band called Edge Crusher and Forcible. He's currently in a band called Epica. And then you got Hank Zinger on bass, who was with a band called Grind Minded. And currently he's with a band called Burial Remains, which is a death metal band. Produced, engineered by Henrik Larsson again. Mastered, back in the fold, Berthas Westerhuis. Cover art by Jacek Wisniewski, who's done stuff for Decapitated, Grave, Sinister, Vader, Chrysian. Music video for Ler the White Worm. Another solid as fuck record, man. Every song in here is good. Nihilism, Arch Enemy Stain, Sigma Enigma, Ler the White Worm, Rusty Nails, Loyal to the Crown of God Dethroned. Another epic God Dethroned track. Oh, man. Great record. Ler the White Worm. Let's go to 2006 in their seventh full length on Metal Blade, The Toxic Touch. Same lineup as Ler the White Worm. Henry Sadler, guitar, vocals. Isaac Delahaye on guitar. Hank Zinger on bass. Arjen van Weezenbeek on drums. Produced, engineered, and mixed by Jorg Eucken. which he's done a lot of stuff, man. This guy, he's done stuff for Sinister, Anvil, Dawn of Disease. There's a cool band for you. Suicidal Angels, the thrash band, really good. He's also an active musician. He's a drummer for a band called Temple of Dread and another one called Adversum. So check him out. This is mastered by Darius Van Helfteren, who's done stuff for like Judas Priest, Epica, Maya, two bands we just talked about. Cover art by Wendell Pinedo, who's done stuff for Grave Worm and Dark at Dawn. So the Toxic Touch, I would say that this is probably, it's still a death metal record. I would say it's probably their most commercial kind of release as far as the songwriting goes. I've got that, Hating Life track on here. Again, all the tracks on here are good, but Toxic Touch, probably their most accessible record, in my opinion, is what I was trying to get at, so check it out, man. Really good. Let's go to their 8th full length, 2009, again on Metal Blade, Passionale. You got a lineup change on here. You've got Henry Sadler, guitars and vocals, Hank Zinger on bass, and Roll Sanders is back on drums. He was on the Bloody Blasphemy album. So Isaac Delahaye and Arian Van Wiesenbeek were out. Produced, engineered, and mixed again by Jorg Uken. Now this one here, you got guest vocals on the tracks by Marco V.D. Veldi from The Wounded. He did guest vocals on 2 tracks on here, Poison Fog and No Survivors. If you're not familiar with The Wounded, they're like this gothic metal band from the Netherlands. Really good. I don't have their vinyls, but I have the CDs. His vocals are hauntingly brilliant, and check out The Wounded if you're not. But he does guest vocals on a couple of tracks on here. Like I said, Poison Fog and No Survivors. And he adds like this added dimension to these tracks. The contrast between Henry and Marco on those tracks is unfucking real, and it really adds something special. Beautiful tracks, heavy, haunting, beautiful. That's how I would describe it. And check those out, please. Music video for Poison Fog and Drowning in Mud. This is a concept album about the Battle of Passchendaele, World War I. So really great record, Under a Darkening Sky, No Man's Land, Poison Fog, Drowning in Mud, Passchendaele, No Survivors, Behind Enemy Lines, Fallen Empires. Really good, man. Passchendaele. Let's go to 2010 in their 9th full length on Metal Blade, Under the Sign of the Iron Cross. You've got a lineup change on here. You got Henry Sadler, guitars and vocals, Hank Zinger on bass. You've got Danny Tunker on guitar, who was in a band called Fuel Blooded, which I don't know much about. Actively, he's a member of a band called Abhorrent, and I think they're a death metal band from Texas here in the States. And you've got Michael Vanderplate, who was a member of Prostitute Disfigurement, and he's an ex-member of that, and I think he's an active member of Pestilence currently. So Michael Vanderplate. So produced, engineered, and mixed by Jorg Uken. Cover art by Karl Heinz Schuster, who's done stuff for like Sacred Reich, Hypocrisy, Belphegor, Hammerfall. You've got guest vocals again by Marco V.D. Veldi from The Wounded on this one, on the track Under the Sign of the Iron Cross, another beautifully brilliant, haunting, heavy track. Now, this track was based on personal experience of soldiers in World War I. Those were the tracks were based on. So another great record. Under the Sign of the Iron Cross. Now, in 2011, that was 2010. 2011, God Dethroned would split up again to be revived again in 2014. So they were revived in 2014, and we're going to go all the way up to 2017 on this one for the next full length, and it was their 10th one on Metal Blade called The World Ablaze. Came out in May 2017, so you got a 7-year gap from the last record to this one. Lineup changes again here. Henry Sadler, guitars, vocals. Michael Vanderplate on drums. Mike Ferguson on guitar, who was with Prostitute Disfigurement. He's an active member of a band called Detonation and another one called Hellsick. You've got Jerome Pomper on bass, who was with a band called Absorbed and The Eighth Son, who I don't know much about. Mixed by Dan Swano. Everybody knows Dan Swano, right? Mastered by Sander Vanderhyde, who's done stuff for like Blind Guardian, Kalenish Circle, Doro. Cover art by Rutger DeVries, who's done cover arts for like Kadiri, Devious, Isaac Rim, if you're familiar with those bands. He's also an active musician. He's a bass player for a band called The Heritance, which is like a melodic death metal band from the Netherlands. You know, music video on the wrong side of the wire for The World Ablaze. Another solid as fuck record. Really cool stuff. Actually, this is a numbered copy, 142 out of 200 for me. So, The World Ablaze. And let's go to the final one. This last record came out in 2020. It was their 11th on Metal Blade, Illuminati. This is actually one of my favorite God Dethroned records, along with Bloody Blasphemy and the Grand Grimoire. For a modern death metal record, man, this is so fucking good. This came out in February 2020. Like I said, the 11th full length on Metal Blade. You've got Henry Sadler, guitars and vocals, Michael Vanderplate on drums, Jerome Pomper on bass, and you've got Dave Meester on guitar, who's with a band called Apophis. Engineered and mixed by Henry Sadler of the band, co-engineered by Ort Run Poolman, mixed by Berthus Westerhues, back in the fold, mastered by Hugo Alverstein, who's done stuff with Nocturnal Breed, Thunderbolt, and Grave Machine. Music videos on this for Illuminati, Book of Lies, and Spirit of Beelzebub. This is just a great fucking record, man. I picked it up when it came out, and you know, I love this one. So this is again a numbered vinyl. This is 141 out of 200. So Illuminati, really good stuff. Lyrically, it's a brilliant record too. If you read along with the lyrics to this, just so good, you know. So there you have it. Those are God Dethroned's 11th full lengths. We went through, you know, the lineup changes and what labels they were on. Everything was on Metal Blade except the first one, which was on Shark Records. Now, the current lineup of God Dethroned is Henry Sadler on guitars and vocals, Jerome Pomper on bass, Dave Meester on guitar, and Frank Schilperohr on drums, who was with Grand Supreme Blood Court. You're probably familiar with them. He was with Alter. He was with Devious. And God Dethroned actually put out a single last year for a track called Asmodeus or Asmodeus, however you want to say it, that demon. And there was a video for that, and that was on Atomic Fire Records. So we know they're writing new stuff. They had a single last year. I'm 99% sure they're going to be coming out with a new record, hopefully soon, and I'm really looking forward to that. So there you have it. Brief history on God Dethroned, all their full lengths. So hopefully you watch this and I turned you on to God Dethroned a little bit. Like I said, you know, start with Bloody Blasphemy, start with the Grand Grimoire, start with Illuminati. Those are 3 records to get you going. And I think you're going to fall in love with this band if you're not familiar with them. So underrated band, the band that deserves to be talked about more, especially here in the States, which I feel like they get no recognition whatsoever. You know, there's not a lot of people talking about God Dethroned here, you know, so that said, that'll be it. And thanks for hanging with me on the Realms of Metal. Real quick, I want to give a couple of shout outs to my friend Nate at Malevolence Records. Check out his site, his Bandcamp, Malevolence Records. He's got some great stuff on there. Check out my friend Mordant Red, black metal from Texas. He's got a Bandcamp. He's got a YouTube channel. Check those both out. Really great stuff. Support that dude. And that's all I got for today. Like I said, this is a video I've been wanting to do for a while. And like it was obstacle after obstacle trying to get it out there. I've had it done for like a week now, and there's always something going on. I didn't have the time to get it out. So got some great stuff planned here in the works. I got a lot of time to dump into the channel this week because I'm off. So I've got hopefully a collaboration with the guy from MOD, Music of Destruction, coming on Friday. Excited to get with that dude and rap about metal with him. And thanks for hanging with me. Thanks for all of you. Thanks to everybody who's watching the videos, like and subscribe and comment, and appreciate that a lot. And throw your comments down. Are you familiar with God Dethroned? What's your favorite record? Whatever you want, man. So thanks for hanging with me, and we'll see you guys again real soon. Have a good rest of the day.